After 6 days, the TST has finally concluded. La Bombonera, a team made up of several players from the Chihuahua Savage, the Monterey Flash, and a lot of talent from Liga Foot 7 MX, have been crowned champions after a dominating performance throughout the course of the entire TST. 'Twas a real treat to watch them win. They weren't my first choice as the doctor chose them, and I had to go with somebody else. So I went with the defending champions, Newtown Pride. Doc was right. Yup, you heard me say it. The doctor was right. More on that momentarily.
Something else I also want to celebrate is the fact that the U.S. women got to claim a $1 million prize today, something I know is so near and dear to their heart for so many reasons. And I'm going to kind of get into that game right now because it was actually a very, very fun and exciting game. If you like back and forth action, if you like high scoring games, then this should have been one you kept your eye on because the USA women, they went up 1-0, but North Carolina seemed to keep finding rebuttals for their scoring. They went up and tied it. USA would go up. North Carolina would score it. They did this until it was 3-3. It was utter madness and chaos. You just were thoroughly entertained. And it was really hard to tell based on the crowd reaction who people were pulling for because you have to think there's a lot of North Carolina natives that are in that crowd that are going to be rooting for North Carolina, but you also got USA front and center, who was, definitely loud and proud in these stands. And right before target score time, USA did put up 2 late goals to make it 5-3. And then in target score time, we're going to see Talia Della Perotta. She's going to put one wide of the keeper, and the U.S. women are going to be crowned your 2024 TST Women's Champions. And let me tell you, a little bit of the poetic justice here is that Talia, she's a UNC Tar Heel. And if you know anything about geography, you know that is right down the road from Cary, North Carolina. And I'm wondering if she wasn't signed for the U.S. women, would she have signed for North Carolina? You kind of have to ask that question. I think, she might have had her hands full on that decision, but ultimately she did decide to play for USA, and they did pull out the win 6-3. USA women are your first ever TST Women's Champions. Congratulations to them. They were stoked beyond belief to get this win.
USA, USA, USA. Fantastic win for the USA women. What a back and forth. I mean, just a complete tennis volley. Just one team score, the other team would score, one team would score, the other team would score. I mean, high scoring affair. It was electric. It was fun. USA poured it on at the end, and the talent gap was there. But I think what I loved about this game really was the fact that on one side you have the powerhouse that is a national team, right? Team USA. And then on the other side, you have a local club, kick around team that just, scrapes some money together, has a few college people and ex-pros that are floating around their organization. And so they make this run and they get all the way to the end and went toe to toe with some of the best women in the world who have ever played this game. And that's what TST does. It just, it boils down soccer into this finite little experience. And, more on how that tweaks in a minute, but how it tweaked in this game, it took some of the best outdoor players in the world right up against a local community side because they had that cohesion and they played so well together and they had some really fluid, dynamic goals. It was a fun game to watch. And, a bright spot for the ladies that the tournament money was equal. That's something that we do not want to gloss over. And, here's to the U.S. women's national team getting equal pay.
La Bombonera versus Nani, which was the team that I had picked to beat La Bombonera. I picked Newtown Pride. So it was basically my pick versus the doctor's pick. And Doc, I'm going to be asking you for lottery numbers sometime this week, next week, and the following, because you've been pretty good at picking things accurately. Now, both teams coming into the final, playing this tournament exceptionally well, both with a perfect 7-0 record. Impressive. La Bombonera had 32 goals for, 12 goals against. Nani FC, 31 goals for, 12 against. Nani entered the finals with as many as, 31 goals scored and saves made 31, which is kind of wild if you really want to break things out statistically. La Bombonera had 5 more goals scored than saves recorded, 32-27. Simply put, both teams have dominated this competition, and it was inevitable that these two heavyweights would get into it. Doc, let's go to the pregame.
So one thing I really liked about my discovery for the finals with is that Sebi Salazar and Herculez Gomez. Sebi and Herc, for those of you who don't know, they do a great show, Football America. They give a lot of love to indoor. They pay attention to the league. They're involved in talking about it on their show. And of course, Herculez
They'll wear
Gomez
the jerseys on the show.
They will. And Herc actually had himself a cup of coffee in the MASL. That's right. All the way back in 2004, while on loan out from the LA Galaxy, he played 10 games for the San Diego Sockers, had 5 goals. And I really thought that, you could tell that they had done their homework. They knew players' names. They knew players' nicknames. They knew what teams they came from. They were able to talk about the MASL and what was current in the MASL throughout the course of the game. So hats off to the TST for getting Sebi and Herc out there. I thought they had a phenomenal call. I thought it was by wide margin the best call I heard throughout the course of the entire tournament. And I know some people were giving the broadcasters some grief, and deservedly so in some cases. But I really thought Sebi and Herc brought it for the final. So discovering pregame that they were going to be on the call, that was kind of a big win, I think, for indoor soccer and for the fans in general that were watching this final. Terry Munoz out of the starting lineup for La Bombonera. That was a little bit of a surprise going into the game. I kind of thought he was going to get the job between the sticks. They end up going to Giancarlo Ramirez instead, so he starts for them. So let's get into our starting lineups for La Bombonera. Roberto Escalante, Luis Magana, Eddie Sanchez, Joaquin Hernandez, Irvin Mojica, Carlos Popper Hernandez, and of course, as previously mentioned in goal, Giancarlo Ramirez. On the other side for Non-E, we have Joao Semedo, who starts, Lucas Roque, Frank Tayu, Drew Ruggles, Silvio Sapierra, Andre Almeida, and in goal, Goncalo Ferreira for Nani. And with that, the table is set, my friends. And in the words of the world's most famous plumber, here we go.
Here we go. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, princess, your nightmare is over.
Oh, no, do not go down that road. This is not the podcast for that, Billy.
How about the kid?
Maybe later. All right. So let's talk about this first half. We've got a first-minute goal out of nowhere, out of the gates. We've got La Bombonera starting this out hot. We've got a breakdown at the back for Nani. It causes this dangerous turnover that happens, and we see Irvin Mojica. He's able to fire one on frame. Ferreira makes the diving stop, but unfortunately it spills loose, and Joaquin Hernandez puts it home, and La Bombonera have an early lead, and you're thinking, my gosh, right out the gate, are Nani FC going to be able to keep up with this? Because you cannot give La Bombonera anything to work with, because they know exactly how to capitalize on every little mistake. Am I right, Doc?
Well, I mean, it completely changed the course of the game. A first-minute goal like that, Nani doesn't even get a chance to settle into a rhythm to put in any kind of pace of play. They immediately have to change to their 1-goal-down scenario. So without even having a chance to touch the ball, I mean, their keeper makes, a poor pass out the back, unfortunately gets picked off, boom, boom, goal. I mean, we're on pace right now for the game to end 40-0. So Nani really had to kind of go back and reassess, reevaluate, put in a completely different game plan from the very first minute. And those kind of mistakes are crucial, and it completely changed the landscape of the game. But La Bombonera, they really did not take their foot off the gas. They have a wild and confusing style of play. I mean, it had everyone. You could tell the entire Nani team, the fans in the stadium. I mean, even the announcers were saying things like, I can't tell who's a defender, who's a midfielder, who's the 9. Like, everyone is just moving around everywhere. One of my favorite
indoor. Jesus.
One of my favorite quotes was, they're so quick, there's no time to rest for anyone off the ball. And that's just exactly what we talked about in yesterday's show, that La Bombonera had so many players with so much pace, and the entire team was built around speed and precision and power. Stop me if this sounds familiar to a team you've heard of from south of the border already. But what was Nani going to be able to do to stand up to that kind of ferocity? And there were some really good stalwart defensive plays made by the likes of Drew Ruggles and the non-EFC team that really kept the rest of that first half in check. And they really had to put in a defensive effort to try and keep the ball out of the back of the net because it was getting wild. But there were some really fun quotes in that first half. One from Herc that really stood out to me. Remember, he played for the San Diego Sockers. And in talking about his time in indoor, he intimated that, I've played in World Cups, Copa America. The most exhausted I've ever been was 45 seconds into playing indoor soccer. I just thought, for a guy who's been at the very highest level one could possibly be, that was a really, really telling thought about indoor soccer.
Great quote. And just to kind of piggyback what you were saying about Herc and Sebi, on their shows, you've seen Sebi wear a Baltimore Blast jersey. You've seen him wear an Empire Strikers jersey. So, yeah, to your point, it was good to have them call it because they'd have an idea. And as the broadcast is going through, obviously they're talking about the players and the nicknames, and that to me was great. You love hearing the nicknames and the way they pronounced it too, La Bombonera, not La Bamba Nera. It was just oh so fitting. But yeah, let's go back to this. It took Nani till 16 minutes to get their first look. A cross into the box from Bruno Alves just missed the head of Frank Tayu. And then on the ensuring kick in, Alves almost heads one home himself. But Nani still trail. Clear tactical emergencies are starting to come from Nani. They're trying to be physical. They're trying to be the bigger team because the other team is just running them up and down. Seen some displays of aerial dominance, and just before the half, there was a brilliant give and go opportunity between Richard, as Amanda would call him, Ricardo Carvalho. He caught a pass in from Ruggles, went in on that right side, tried to connect again with Ruggles to the left, but he just misses it. A great opportunity, and we go into the half 1-0 to La Bombonera, and you'd think, especially with the way the rest of this game goes, had Ruggles connected on there, that changes the momentum of the game, also changes the mindset. Obviously, you talked about the speed of La Bombonera and then the physical ability of Nani. You're looking at a whole different game coming out of the, can't say out of the locker rooms because they were just by their bench, but coming out of the half with 1-1 totally would have been a different result, but an uncharacteristic miss for Ruggles, and that's what that's what sealed the first half.
Well, we saw some bounce on that ball too. I think we watched that replay and I don't know if he thought it was going to go a different way. I mean, I definitely think something zigged and he zagged, and that's just kind of what happened, unfortunately, because, 9 out of 10 times Ruggles is going to connect with that and he's going to put it in the back of the net. And unfortunately, it just was not going to happen in that second.
It's a game of inches, right? It's inches that cuts the pass off in the first minute to create the turnover for La Bombonera to score their first goal, right? How Ruggles misses this ball, I mean, it's so close to being a goal. Game's tied. We go into the half with a brand new ball game. It changes the whole complexion. But
the soccer gods, man, they rain down on them. Sometimes football, as they say, is a cruel mistress, and it was cruel to Ruggles, who, like you said, would absolutely thrash that pelota into the netting had he been on a turf or even in a different set of circumstances.
I mean, we've seen Drew Ruggles tap ins at the back post 100 times in the MASL. We know he has it in his locker, but in the outdoor 100%. Game, different speed, that ball is unfortunately just behind him. I mean, the pass, unfortunately, is not timed perfectly with his run, but I mean, again, it's inches, right? It's inches that creates the space for Bombonera in the beginning. It's inches that just has Drew Ruggles missing as we go into the half. So we come out of the half with Bombonera having scored in the first minute of the first half. Lo and behold, here we are. First minute, second half. Stop me if you've heard this before. Golazo La Bombonera. A deep ball in finds Jose Lopez on the left wing. He turns inside, fires home to double the lead for the Chocolate Box boys, and it is 2-0 with a carbon copy of the first half so far.
In the 25th minute, we're going to see a chance by Nani. It's going to be a deep through ball. It's going to find Nani in the box, who's going to fire it. It's going to go just over the bar. And in the 26th minute, La Bombonera is going to have a chance. And we're going to see Popper, whose name we've said a bunch of times in this competition. He's 1v1 with the keeper, but Ferreira closes that distance and is able to block the shot.
29th minute. Goal, La Bombonera. That's fun. Now I understand why you did it that way.
Right? It feels good. Don't be
It actually
hating.
hurts the throat, to be
Participate.
completely honest with you.
Don't hate. Participate.
I'm not hating. I'm celebrating. Celebrating because, 29th minute, like we said, goal, La Bombonera. Is it Jorgana or Giorgana? Anyway,
Giorgiana.
Miguel Giorgiana.
You got to kind of give it like a little Italian, but then back it off and do it Spanish.
Yeah, all right. Left wide open at the elbow. And as the ball is crossed to his feet, he makes a quick indoor drag to evade the keeper and slams the ball home into the empty net. 3-0, La Bombonera.
We had a chance again in the 31st minute for La Bombonera. It's Porch this time, who's wide open in the box. He tries to chip the keeper, but unfortunately, his chip did not have the dip to go with it. It sails wide over the bar. We had another chance again for Nani, this time in the 32nd minute. Frank gets a ball at the top of the box, and he does what you know Frank is going to do. The problem is, La Bombonera knew what Frank was going to do too. He immediately does what Frank does, back to goal. He tries to do the quick turn and fire it in, but unfortunately he gets tangled up with the player in front of him. The shot does not find the back of the net, and in the ensuing kerfuffle, Frank then finds himself in the referee's book with a yellow card. Did not go well in this particular case for Nani. Unfortunately, La Bombonera coming down the other way again. It's Popper. He's in on goal. He's one-on-one with the keeper, but unfortunately he fires wide as the finish eludes him this time. Just 2 minutes later, we have another chance for Nani as Nani himself charges down the left. He wins the byline, fires the ball right to the feet of King Tayu. Stop me if you've heard this before. Unfortunately, whiffs on the ball, and it finds its way all the way out to the sideline. This is the second time that Nani had a tap in at the back post, and by a matter of just inches. And you could see Frank was screened off the pass. He didn't see it coming in until too late. There was no time for him to react, but just that inches of sight line, that inch of space could be 2 goals for Nani, and we're talking about a 3-2 game. But unfortunately, the ball does not find the back of the net, and we find ourselves at the end of regulation. La Bombonera 3, Nani 0.
So target score time, game-winning goals can be whatever scoreline they are, as long as it's the one that they need to meet. And in this one, it was going to be number 4. That was going to be the target score that needed to be reached. And, well, that seemed like an easy task for La Bombonera, considering they already had 3. It's going to be a tall order for Nani. Now, we are going to see Lemos, who is back in goal, which we saw him on the injured list. And then in that first minute, we are going to see a chance by Nani. Nani fires a bender to the far post, strikes off the woodwork. Nothing's going to come of that. And we are going to find this game 6v6.
Yeah, 5th minute chance for La Bombonera. La Bombonera fires a shot on goal, but whistle brings it back. Lemos had the shot covered, though. You fast forward 60 seconds more. Another chance for La Bombonera. Hugo Puentes La Roca has the ball atop the box, but the shot eludes him as he can't find himself a window. A massive chance gets wasted. 2 minutes after that, another brilliant chance, another opportunity. Shot from point gets blocked, and Nani now are on the counter. Still within that 8th minute, that chance for Nani off that counter. Nani charges in and fires, but it's blocked out for a corner. And then in the 9th minute, your golden goal, golazo, La Bombonera. Come on and raise up, rip your shirt off. All right, I'm not going to continue on with that. Chad Porch picks off a pass between Lemos and Nani at midfield. Nani gets the worst of the hospital ball, but Porch is in on frame. He takes the keeper on and beats him to the left with a toe poke, and La Bombonera wins. Chad Porch, the boy from Delaware, to quote the movie Wayne's World. Hi, we're in Delaware. Anyway, the man called out Nani. He is your $1 million goal scorer, and it's pretty incredible considering how little fanfare information there is about Chad Porch. I mean, I think our cats have a bigger Instagram following than he does, but all that matters now is Everybody knows him. He's gotten the Benjamins. Your final score, La Bombonera, come on and raise up. 4 times. 4 times they raised up, beating Nani. First time they got blanked out, and La Bombonera are your 2024 TST Men's Campeones. Ale, ale, ale. Congratulations. Hence why I'm rocking this Chihuahua Savage jersey.
Just like to say, I called it. Just gonna, throw that out there. I called it. There's proof. It's documented. I called it. Philly,
you've known me for years.
Call it.
How many times am I going to say you were right consecutively ever? I started off the top of the podcast with that. Cheers. You were right.
I just want a full transparency on this. When we had our first pre-show meeting, the only reason I got La Bombonera instead of Philly is because I picked first. I have a feeling that was going to be Philly's pick had I not stolen it from him. But so in all due fairness, I think we were in like mind at the beginning that they just had too talented a roster to not make a deep run in this tournament and have a chance to go all the way with it. Fantastic game. I think it highlighted a lot of the stuff that we talked about yesterday. When it came to La Bombonera, they were just too fast. They outran Nani. Now, there were a lot of times that Nani, they have some really, really good players on that team. And it was no surprise that they found their moments in this game, right? They had some opportunities, 2 big ones in regulation that could have made it very, very, very interesting going into target score time that unfortunately just, again, game of inches didn't go their way with the Ruggles and the Taiyu shots that, 9 times out of 10, those 2 put in on net. But it was just, this whole game was so fun to just watch the 2 different styles and albeit 2 indoor-based teams, but really going about it a different way. You have Nani that was, much more possession pace, much slower in their buildup, right? They did great when they were trying to do fast, but they saved that for counterattacking moments. Otherwise in their traditional buildup, it was a lot of cycling the ball and deep lying runs and deep shots. And then you had a Bombonera team that was just like, no, we're just going to outrun you. This is going to be a track meet, and we're just going to take the ball and go straight in at goal every single time. And it was overwhelming, and it was a really fun game to watch from an aesthetic standpoint. I do wish Nani would have hit the back of the net and just made it a little bit more interesting. They certainly had their looks.
Real quick, Panda, before you go into your post game, I mean, the athleticism is there. There's no question about that whatsoever. But I think the most important part that we aren't necessarily talking about is the fact that this is a team, literally a team made up of players that have been playing together for a long time. Yes, there is something to be said about getting down to training camp 2 weeks early and doing your thing, much like Newtown Pride did with Onu Abasi bringing the squad down there. But 2 weeks is nothing compared to years. These players that are on the Monterey Flash and the Chihuahua Savage and a lot of the 7v7, these guys have been around each other for oh so long. So to them, it was just business as usual, whereas you get a bunch of other players that, yes, they know each other from competitive endeavors, but, they've played on different sides. They don't have as much experience or familiarity with each other. It's like, a chef creating a new bowl of soup, putting all these different spices and stuff in your gumbo. You don't know how it's going to taste. Individually, all these different spices and canoodles and whatnot are tasty, but when you mix them together, what are you going to get? The proof is already in with La Bombonera because these guys have been, again, playing together for oh so long. So the chemistry was there. The talent, without a doubt, was there. But I think that's the biggest factor as to why this is the team that won. And you're right. Had you not chosen them, La Bombonera was my pick for the exact reasons I just gave you right now. The indoor players are the ones that have the most success in this tournament. And how are you going to deny the team that's made up of the back-to-back reigning champions? Very simple. La Bombonera deserved it. Done. Panda, let's get into the post game.
I think, like you both had mentioned, La Bombonera, they were. If neither one of you have chosen them, I probably would choose. I think they were going to be a choice no matter what. I mean, I even have a chocolate box here because I just felt like I was gonna celebrate. Either way, got my chocolate box. Kind of saw this one coming, even though we all picked different teams. This one made sense. Let's just be honest. When you look at this tournament, you look at the team. Them winning it made sense. It was never far-fetched. It was always really far up there on the possibilities. Sometimes, though, in this game, crazy things do happen, so you never know. But certainly not shocked by this win. But what I love more about these tournaments is the personal stories behind everything. We see these teams and we forget there's individuals behind all of this that are all playing for so many different reasons. And they all have charities. They all have their personal things. I mean, some want to do crazy things with their money, and some literally just want to make their life just a little easier. And I think Porch said it on his interview that he's using his money to pay off student loans and credit card bills. I mean, how relatable is that to literally everyone listening to this podcast right now? I think we all have probably something out there, that we would love to just wipe out of our lives. And if we gave that opportunity, that's exactly what we do. So happy that he gets to do that. And then you've got Joaquin Hernandez says he's using his portion to buy a house and a better life for his family. He has an opportunity to do something that prior to this tournament probably didn't think he would be able to. And I love that they have these moments where they're able to give back, because they all haven't had easy lives. None of these guys are balling, out there on 6-7 figure, salaries and driving Bentleys and wearing the best clothes. They're literally playing a game because they love it. It's a passion for them. And you can see that passion in their play. But also on the other side of all this is that teary embrace that we saw at the end of the game between Drew Ruggles and Frank Taiu. It really just reminds us that even though there's a winner we're celebrating, on the other side of that, there's a loser that is really feeling like this close. I mean, in most tournaments and things that we see out there, there's like at least a second place prize. There's at least something they can kind of like wipe their tears with at the end of the day. And, this is hard. This is hard for those guys because they worked so hard and played so many games and got this close to winning it. So, I don't know. It's a cruel mistress, as we always say. This game, the winning is great, but sometimes the losing, man, will just make you reflect on a lot of things in life. But either way, what a tournament. You guys, I don't know how you feel, but I've really, really thoroughly enjoyed every moment of this. Any other thoughts you have before I talk about my little thing that I wanted to kind of mention?
I'm just thinking that, like, La Bombonera, a portion of the proceeds of their win are going to go to the sports complex, the Arena Football Center in Delaware that the team is based around. So there's some money going there. And then the rest of the money getting split up amongst, players and coaches and staff or whatever, 30, 40 people. He's definitely not buying a house in Los Angeles. That's for sure.
On 30, 40 grand, you're not even getting a box on Skid Row.
That $1 million in culmination isn't buying a house in Los Angeles. Let's be real.
I think the average home in LA now is around 900 grand.
He's going to have to win about 10 more TSTs before he's buying a house here in LA.
Good God.
So dumb. So dumb.
I think what gets me the most, though, like my heart breaks, not so much for Nani, because that guy's got plenty of money, but I just think of the number of finals that Frank Taiu has been involved in throughout the course of his entire career. And that's the part that gets me. I mentioned it on the last pod. I wanted Frank to hoist a trophy. I wanted him to open up the floodgates to finally start bringing home some silverware, because it such a dominating player throughout his entire career with not that many trophies kind of breaks my heart. And he had a phenomenal tournament. I mean, he had 5 goals. He was tied for second with most goals in the TST. So Frank did his job, worked his tail off, and for him to come up short, that's the part that breaks my heart the most. Mainly because obviously we have a relationship with Frank, a friendship with Frank, if you will, having worked with him for a number of years. I really wanted to see him hoist a trophy more than anything, which is why I wanted Nani to win. But that's what guts me the most about Nani losing.
We have nothing but love for Frank here. Philly, you and I both worked his Kings Cup tournament last year. More to come on that front for this summer ahead. So there will be more times in which you catch us and His Majesty in the same place. And, Frank is not only is he a prolific talent. I mean, 403 goals in the MASL speaks for itself, but such a kind-hearted person, such a good person on the inside. And, the same could be said for so many of the players up and down this Nani side. It's really a bummer. I mean, especially in Frank's case, given, how many times he's been the bridesmaid and never the bride. It just, your heart breaks for the guy, but you know that he has the kind of spirit and will and force of person to be able to keep going and keep fighting to try and win, a Ron Newman for UCFC or wherever he ends up playing next year if he is to be on the road. But, we'll see. It's a hard one for those guys on the other side. And, but for those guys south of the border, I mean, this money's going a lot further for them. And that it's going to go to a good home. Final thoughts. I just did want to wrap up on our Golden Boot talk. Philly kind of let the cat out of the bag. I was about to say at least we can award Frank Tayu the MASL Golden Boot for the 2024 TST tournament. He finished atop the leaderboard with 5 goals. Thanks to his effort in the semifinals, he stands alone as your MASL leader he ended up trailing Giovinco's 6 goals in the tournament, but hats off to Frank for climbing up the leaderboard there. Morales would be number 1 in assists. He would finish with 4 as well, just 1 behind on the leaderboard in assists. He would also finish as the best MASL player in points as well, too, with 12 on the campaign. Philly.
Reggett also had 4 assists. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you. Good note.
Question. Did you guys see who was on the best 7 that TST put out?
Ooh, I have not seen the TST best 7.
Kind of interesting. I'm going to read them out, and I guess I want to know your thoughts. Ready?
The answer's got to be there because that kid was solid.
So is Che Benny, Gabriel Ganzer, Joaquin Hernandez, Stefan Mijatovic, Luis Nani, Ricardinho, and Christian Hernandez Urbina, and then GM Fabio Barros, and then the coach Edgar Martinez. Those were your best 7 GM and coach.
Meat.
Who was your Golden Boot winner overall in this tournament? Giovinco?
6,
correct.
Yes.
And he wasn't named on the best 7. I'm just curious.
Oh, he also never, he didn't get out of the group suite. Yeah, he got out of the group stages with Quick. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. God, it seemed like that was so long ago. In reality, it wasn't.
Yeah, so Guadarrama also had 6, along with Hernandez from La Bombonera, but it took each of them significantly more games to get there, I guess. You got to reward teams for advancing. Maybe there's something to be said that putting all of your eggs in one player might have racked up their goal tally, but might have cost you the game. I'd like to think there's some of that taken into consideration. It's not just the back of the sports card, so to speak.
A lot of thoughts on the trophy, and I really just kind of want to clear the air a little bit on it because, art is very subjective. Art is, in the eye of the beholder, I would say. And these trophies, the men's and women's, were different, and these were both constructed by Lev Rosenbusch, who is known for making professional pots. He does this. This is something that he does. He makes these, and he does put a lot of thought into them. He does put a lot of work into them. I mean, I don't know about you, but I never made a ceramic pot. So they asked him to make these, and a lot of his inspiration were the gladiator games, because he was talking about how much he thought that there was just such like a grudge match of all these. There was a lot of levels and things that they needed to do to get to the top. And when you see a trophy and it's nice and shiny, it feels like it only represents the victory. And he wanted a pot, he wanted a trophy, he wanted something that represented all the different stages that it takes to really acquire the success that it actually went through. So, Lev Rosenbusch is his name. You can find him on Instagram. And he's made a lot of really cool things. Unfortunately, if you watched the tournament celebration, it was broken. That little flimsy handle did fall off, and they didn't know quite what to do. And I think the broadcasters had mentioned something, which I thought was kind of interesting, that, it's okay when a trophy breaks, because that allows players to take pieces of it home. Because when you have one trophy together as a whole, what are you going to do with that? But if you're able to, pick pieces apart, now everybody gets a little piece of the prize. So, hey, let's make lemonade out of lemons, right? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do anybody have thoughts?
The intent of the trophy is to be broken. right? The purpose of using the clay trophy, and they said this during the women's game, long before One Piece ever broke off the men's trophy 4 or 5 hours later. When the women's trophy was awarded, they talked about how the trophy is intended to be broken by the team, either during the celebration ceremony or later, and that the pieces of the trophy are to be divvied up amongst each of the participants, however they see fit. That way, everyone gets a piece of the trophy. There's two things to that, right? I mean, A, it's that sense of ownership, that little piece of it, and the trophy will never be whole again unless all those people come together again, right? And I kind of love that whole thing to it. But I have to be honest, we kind of have to blame Banksy for this, right? The famous artist that had the special frame designed for his piece of art, that the second the auction on it went final and the gavel hit the ground, the picture frame was actually a shredder and it shredded the painting the second it was purchased, right? I mean, this is this whole idea of creation is destruction, destruction is creation, that's part of art. And I honestly think it's pretty fascinating. It's a bold choice for a tournament to do with their trophy, but that's what TST is about. It's bold, and I think it fits.
I mean, no one came there for the trophy. Let's just be honest. Everyone came for the $1 million. The trophy is a fun little story that gets people talking. And then people who don't want to dive into the research of it are going to get their chonies all in a wad. And yeah, I
know what happens when you get chonies in a wad and you make a mess? You utilize dude wipes.
Dude wipes.
Dude wipes.
Either way, I thought it was worth mentioning the trophy just to kind of clear the air on, on all that for those that are like, what's that? I mean, like the first comment on Instagram was, all right, who's going to say it? Meaning like they were really kind of, I don't know, dogging it a little bit, but leave it alone. Like, I love when we get to like lift people up that are doing things like that. And clearly that's his craft and put a lot of work into it. So have fun with it, Opa, break it. Let's go.
A couple other things from the tourney as a whole. Just, we talked ad nauseum about the whole inclusion of the women's game. And I know this is an MASL pod, but that was such a triumph throughout the course of the tournament. Executed perfectly from the very first time they did it. Really hats off to the entire TST tournament for how they handled the entire women's side of the tournament. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. And now we have a whole off season to talk about Newtown Pride's tactics going into next season, and whether the Obasi ball, as we choose to call it here, of parking the ball and really taking some air out of the game. Is the hate warranted? Because they've kind of gotten a lot of hate, and even I've caught some flack for my support of Newtown and their tactics online as well too. And it's you have to wonder, do you guys think there's gonna be a goalkeeper rule change for the next tournament?
Well, first and foremost, it's whatever it takes. It's whatever it takes. To heck with what the people in the stands have to say about the tactics. They're not the ones on the field fighting for $1 million. I get it. I totally get it. But whatever it takes. And clearly it didn't work in this case because they got beat. And so there was a tactic. And then, yes, that could potentially warrant a change. I did have a few more thoughts, Panda. You did have your finger up. So what's up?
Well, no, I mean, I know you say, whatever it takes to win the $1 million. Yep, that's one side of it. The other side of the coin is this tournament is also there as a source of entertainment. And when people don't like what's happening and are angry about it and they show disdain, then they're going to change that because they want people to show up. They don't want people to think that it's boring and things like that. So, I think that they're going to see changes because people don't want to see that style of play adopted across all the rest of the teams, seeing that it was successful for someone like Newtown.
But to your point, it's about hate. Yes, if anything, Newtown's going to get a whole slew of haters, and every hero needs a villain. So that's just going to make people want to tune in to see Newtown get beat employing their tactics. So you can look at it from a variety of ways. In terms of whether there are rules to be changed, there's a couple of ways they can go about this. Obviously, they can incorporate a shot clock. That could be something on there. Perhaps they can implement somewhat of a basketball rule where you cross midfield, you can't go back through it. Kind of like a backcourt violation. Potentially that's another rule. Or if the goalkeeper has it, maybe, there's only a limited amount of time that he's able to keep possession of it. Kind of like if you're again, going back to basketball, it's Chris Paul's thing. He might want to implement something where you can only hang on to it for a matter of seconds before the pressure comes in, and you got to get rid of it. I mean, there's so many different things they can do to up the pace of the game, and I would imagine that they would start employing some of this, considering that obviously it could be well warranted. Nobody wants to see this, and kudos to Newtown for coming and not only winning the inaugural tournament, but for forcing the argument to create a change in the rules. Goes to show you what a big impact this team had.
Hey, look, let's not forget, this tactic created the opportunity for Newtown to be in the finals. Newtown had 2 or 3 looks in target score time with a chance to win the game that just went wide or hit the post or got, narrowly blocked off, right? Before Nani was able to come the other direction and score the goal. So this whole conversation that the tactics didn't work, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with that. The tactics still worked, even in the semifinals. The finish just wasn't there a couple different times when Newtown had the opportunity to put the game away. I mean, look, Charlie Golasso slams home his opportunity, like he had so many times already in this tournament. We know he's got it in the locker. And he puts that home. And now, again, the tactic is a good tactic, right? It created the opportunity. Tactics are not always about results. Tactics are a lot more about opportunities, right? And the tactic created the opportunity for them to win the game. But in that last moment, it's 1 foot, 1 ball. What happens?
Yeah, fair point. Fair point.
I guess we'll have to wait to see what happens then. I don't know. But I think there'll be change.
Speaking of waiting to see, my friend, how long do we have to wait to see some more indoor action?
Well, 5 agonizingly long months for the start of the Major Arena Soccer League season. But you and I have the opportunity to be a part of what's called the Game of Legends. Yes, it's going to be an MASL style game played at Toyota Arena on Father's Day, June the 16th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Game of Legends is brought to you by the people of Mo Ali. So it's him and Kid Super, who's a fashion designer that, they put this amazing team together, and there are a couple of names. If you don't know the name Mo Ali and Kid Super, that's fine. But I'm sure you'll know the names Ronaldinho and Kaká. Yes, those players. You're going to see them along with several different players that have played at some of the highest levels, along with some social media influencers, some stars and celebrities of the music world. It'll be a great thing. Obviously, we're talking about a podcast here on a pod that's nationwide, in some cases global. If you want to be able to watch it, it will be on beIN Sports. The Qatari-based network will feature this game, and there's a good chance you may recognize some of the media personalities that are going to be talking throughout the course of that game. So mark it on your calendars, June 16th, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Father's Day. If you live in the area and you're looking for a gift for your dad, well, heck, if he loves football, chances are he loves Ronaldinho. Come on out to Toyota Arena. It's going to be a darn good time. But otherwise, if you are out of state, can't make it, beIN Sports USA, that's where you'll be able to find the game.
Ronaldinho versus Kaká.
The Ronaldinho Kaká.
Playing with MASL rules and boards. Right? How many opportunities in your life do you have to see those two players play in an MASL formatted game? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. There also is the potential throughout this summer for there to be some international friendlies. We've seen those the last couple seasons. We've been involved in some of those as well, too. So hopefully there's a chance to see all some international friendlies. There is rumors that the King's Cup is going to happen this summer as well, too. There are rumors that there could be some different formats for it this year. I don't want to give away anything. We'll leave that to His Majesty to reveal, but a King's Cup is in the works as well, too. So that should be another fun indoor cash tournament with some of the proceeds going to charity there for you guys to check out as well, too. And Philly, of course, if someone's looking to perhaps be a player themselves in this league, this is the perfect opportunity, is it not?
Yep. We got a combine coming through in beautiful Oceanside, California, which should probably hang out at your mom's house at San Clemente when that comes through. Beautiful San Clemente, be a great time to hang out with Mama Reimer and chill in one of the nicest beach towns that had the luxury of going to. But yeah, the MASL combine will have more information on the time and everything. But if you think you could compete with the likes of some of these TST All-Stars and indoor legends, you do have the chance.
That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be one of the first events at Front Wave Arena, the brand new soccer complex for the San Diego Sockers. It's going to be excited to see that kicked underway as we have officially said goodbye to the grand old arena down in San Diego proper. So it's going to be cool to see the new Oceanside version of the San Diego Sockers and their brand new digs. I'm looking forward to checking that out at the Combine.
Absolutely. So, I mean, we're starting to round this about. Got a couple of shout outs to give before we sign out. But before I get to that, any final thoughts or words from the two of you?
Look, this has been so much fun. Just when we thought our indoor season and the chance to be around these players, these teams, these people was over. The way the MASL community really rallied behind their players is something that I love to see. I loved the fan interaction that we've had this week. My phone's been blowing up with messages from people all over the place. I mean, heck, we even got Gio from Golds and Boards back out from under a rock because of TST. So it's been a fun week.
Yeah, it definitely has been. Gonna miss this. Looking forward to a little bit of sleep, though, I'll be honest. But I am excited. All it does is get me just that more excited for the indoor game. And, hopefully this bridged the gap just a teeny little bit. We can see those Wallace scores before we're ready. I'm excited. So, but no, this is a lot of fun, guys. And we certainly have, Philly, a lot of people to thank to make this happen, don't we?
Yeah, of course. I mean, before we sign off, just wanted to give a shout out to everyone, like you said, that did make the show happen. Of course, my colleagues from the Empire Strikers, Amanda the Panda Filament, and the doctor, Jonathan Reimer. It's always great getting to work with y'all. You're right down the road, and you sleep right next to me, so it's very easy to put this together. I'll love.
Do we have to differentiate with who you were talking about there?
No.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Just making sure everybody understood.
Pretty sure they're on board. Pretty sure they're on board. I'm at my house.
Red card. I got this at a San Diego Sockers game. Red card to you for that comment.
It might look as though Philly and Panda are in two different places. What you don't realize is they're actually in the same room.
Well,
they're not in the same room.
I'm in the kitchen.
Panda's in the kitchen. Which Philly,
that's not
which never happens, actually.
That's not a good look for you, bro. All
That's
right.
where I belong. It's where he put me, in the kitchen.
Oh, please. Our idea of a home-cooked meal is $20 in a takeout menu. What are you talking about? We Postmates better than anybody else. But anyway, we're getting off track again, which is, again, why I love doing the show with y'all. We have a lot of fun. Big shout-out to Ken Stanley, the creative director of the Major Arena Soccer League. Big shout-out to Jack Williams, social media manager. Big shout-out to Lindsey Durham, director of communications. Big shout out to John Raymond, VP of Operations for the Major Arena Soccer League. And of course, the president of communications himself, JP Delacamera, for giving his blessing to us to run with this show. Thank you all for green lighting this and letting us run wild with it. We had so much fun, and we hope to continue to create content like this for the league going forward. And of course, I also want to thank you, the fans of the Major Arena Soccer League. If it wasn't for you, well, we wouldn't have anybody to create this for. And for us to just do this amongst ourselves, talk amongst yourselves, it's not as much fun. Y'all are the heart and soul and the lifeblood of this league. Together, we can make this league and the sport rise to the level that it deserves to be in, on top. We got a lot of work to do. There's no question about that, but we're trending in the right direction. If we could all work together on advertising this, bringing people to games, getting the word out, guerrilla marketing is very, very effective. Much love to you all, and we look forward to being on the air and on the call very, very soon.
Well, with that, folks, I think it's about time to wrap up the MASL TST. We thank you for joining us on this 6-day journey. It has been our pleasure to stay up to the wee hours of the morning for you and take 20 pages worth of notes all day, because we love indoor soccer. And even when indoor soccer is played outdoor, we still love indoor soccer.
Clearly, we love indoor soccer because I just gave an hour and 1 minute of my anniversary to y'all. That's how much I love this game and how much I love y'all.
Califino, I'm still waiting for my La Bombonera jersey, but great tequila. Thank you.
Dude wipes. They're fantastic.
Michelob Ultra, the beer of ultras.
Congratulations, Chocolate Box.
And on that note, we bid you all adieu.
Peace, everyone.
Bye.